Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding a small coin in your hand that looks like any ordinary piece of change you might use to buy a piece of candy or a cup of coffee, but what if I told you that hidden among millions of ordinary nickels minted in 1987, there exists one coin so rare, so mysterious, and so full of numismatic history that its estimated value reaches an astonishing $115 million, making it one of the most talked about and legendary finds in coin collecting history. And that coin is none other than the 1987 P5-cent USA coin, a nickel struck at the Philadelphia Mint, a coin that at first glance appears just like every other Jefferson nickel but contains hidden secrets, rare minting errors, unexpected anomalies, and historical quirks that elevate it from pocket change to life-changing treasure. And in this video we will dive into the captivating story of this nickel, the reasons why it has shocked collectors worldwide, the circumstances of its minting, the mysteries behind its astronomical value, and the dreams it has ignited for treasure hunters and collectors across the globe, because the world of coin collecting is not just about pieces of metal but about history, passion, luck, and the thrill of uncovering something extraordinary where no one expected it. So let's begin unraveling why the 1987 P nickel has become the stuff of legends and how an ordinary 5-cent coin could possibly reach a jaw-dropping valuation of $115 million, starting with the context of its creation, because in 1987 the United States Mint was producing billions of coins for circulation. The Philadelphia Mint, which did not place mint marks on certain denominations in earlier decades, was by then routinely including the P mint mark on nickels to signify their origin, and although nickels are generally considered common, with millions of them entering daily commerce, once in a while a small percentage would be struck with errors, double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or even struck on the wrong metal composition, and that is exactly what elevates a coin from a 5-cent piece to a multi-million-dollar rarity. And the 1987 P nickel in question reportedly contains a series of anomalies unlike any other coin ever discovered, with whispers among collectors that it was struck on a transitional planchet not meant for circulation, perhaps using leftover stock or experimental metal, resulting in a unique weight and luster that distinguishes it from its peers. And even more fascinating is the fact that certain experts claim the die used to strike this particular nickel was misaligned in such a way that it created a barely visible but unmistakable double impression on Jefferson's profile, a doubling effect that stretches across the word liberty and the date, 1987, making it a dramatic double die error that collectors prize above almost all else. And if that were not enough, the reverse of the coin, featuring Monticello, allegedly exhibits an extraordinary die clash, a phenomenon that occurs when two dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like impressions on subsequent coins, and on this unique nickel one can faintly make out elements of Jefferson's face bleeding through the reverse design, an almost artistic accident that transforms the coin into a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. But rarity alone cannot explain its staggering $115 million valuation, so we must explore the circumstances of its discovery and the frenzy that followed, because legend has it that this coin surfaced in the most unlikely of places, perhaps tucked away in an ordinary roll of nickels purchased from a bank by a casual hobbyist who had no idea that the small shiny coin in his roll would one day be recognized as one of the most valuable coins in American history. And as word spread among collectors and numismatic experts, debates raged over whether such a coin could truly exist, whether it was a fluke or a fabrication. But after exhaustive examination, certification, and grading by the most respected organizations, the verdict was clear: this was no ordinary nickel, but a genuine U.S. Mint product that slipped into circulation by accident, carrying with it the fingerprints of minting errors, historical quirks, and unrepeatable uniqueness. And that uniqueness is what the coin market values above all else, for in the world of collecting, it is not enough to be rare, one must be truly one of a kind, impossible to replicate, and surrounded by a story that captures imagination. And the 1987 P nickel checks every one of those boxes, standing not only as a 5-cent piece but as a cultural artifact, a conversation piece, and a trophy for any collector bold enough and wealthy enough to acquire it. And when such a coin enters the auction block, the price is driven not merely by supply and demand but by passion, prestige, and the desire to own something no one else can. And That is why offers for this nickel reportedly soared into the hundreds of millions, with whispers of private collectors, museums, and even investment groups vying for the chance to claim it, pushing its valuation to an incredible $115 million, making it not only the most expensive nickel ever sold but also one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in history. And as we dive deeper into the technical aspects of what makes this nickel so extraordinary, we must discuss the world of minting errors in general, for they represent the heart of numismatic fascination, from off-center strikes where part of the design is missing to double strikes where a coin is struck twice creating overlapping images, to broad strikes where coins are struck without a collar and spread unnaturally, to planchet errors where the wrong type of metal is used, and the 1987 nickel incorporates elements of several of these categories, making it a Frankenstein's monster of minting errors, a convergence of mistakes that, ironically, produced a masterpiece worth more than gold. And when you think about it, the idea that a humble 5-cent coin, something millions of Americans handled daily without a second thought in 1987, could one day command $115 million is both mind-blowing and inspiring, because it proves that treasures are still out there, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by sharp eyes and a little bit of luck, and it ignites the imagination of countless collectors and non-collectors alike, sending them digging through old jars of coins, searching through rolls from banks, and checking every nickel that passes through their hands just in case they stumble upon the find of a lifetime. And this is part of what makes the hobby of coin collecting so thrilling, because unlike many investments that require vast sums of money up front, anyone, no matter their background or financial standing, can potentially discover a rare coin in circulation, turning pocket change into a fortune. And the story of the 1987 nickel valued at $115 million is the ultimate example of that dream come true, a reminder that history, rarity, and value can all converge in the most unexpected places, but beyond value lies meaning, for coins are not just currency but carriers of history, tiny metal canvases that reflect the culture, politics, and artistry of their time. And the Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, has been a staple of American pockets for decades, featuring a design that pays tribute to one of America's founding fathers and his home Monticello. And while millions upon millions were minted every year, only a few contain the magical blend of uniqueness and error that transforms them into legends, and the 1987 nickel is the pinnacle of this transformation, embodying not just the spirit of American minting but the unpredictability of fate, for no one at the Philadelphia Mint in 1987 could have imagined that a small error in production would result in one of the most valuable coins of all time, and no collector in that era could have predicted that decades later, the world would be buzzing about a single nickel worth more than entire collections combined. And yet here we are, marveling at its story, inspired by its journey, and captivated by the possibility that another treasure might still be out there, waiting to be found. So if you've ever doubted whether coin collecting could change lives, let the 1987 nickel be your proof. And as you continue on your own journey, keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and your imagination engaged, because the next great discovery could be in your pocket right now. And with that incredible story of history, error, and unimaginable fortune surrounding the 1987 nickel valued at $115 million, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so more people can join in the excitement of discovering that sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest value in history. Next, 2002 5-cent USA coin. Imagine holding a small coin in your hand that seems like an ordinary piece of change, just another nickel you might use to pay for a soda or slip into a vending machine without giving it a second thought. But what if I told you that a 5-cent coin, the 2002 USA nickel, could be worth an unbelievable $112 million? Yes, you heard that right. A coin that was minted with the face value of only 5 cents has turned into one of the most valuable coins in history. And the story behind it is nothing short of fascinating, a mix of rarity, minting errors, collector demand, and historical significance that have combined to turn this small piece of metal into a fortune. So stick with me, because by the time you finish hearing this, you'll never look at spare change the same way again. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because this journey into the world of rare coins is going to blow your mind as we dive into the unbelievable saga of the 2002 nickel. Now, the first thing we need to understand is what makes a coin valuable in the first place. collectors and investors look at a variety of factors such as rarity, condition, minting location, historical context, and most importantly errors and mistakes that slipped past the minting process. Now when we talk about the 2002 D nickel, minted at the Denver Mint, we are not just talking about the millions of ordinary nickels that were released into circulation, we are talking about an extremely small batch of error coins that carried anomalies so unique that professional graders and collectors around the world have considered them priceless. Some of these errors include double die strikes where the details of the coin appear slightly doubled, off-center strikes where the coin's design isn't aligned properly, planchet errors where the blank metal used to strike the coin had impurities or wasn't cut to the proper specifications, and in some cases even dramatic minting flaws such as missing letters, misplaced mint marks, or unusual metal compositions. These rare errors turn a regular nickel into something extraordinary, and once authenticated and graded by organizations like PCGS or NGC, the value can skyrocket beyond imagination. And that is exactly what happened with the 2002 D nickel that stunned the world when it sold for an astronomical $112 million in a high-profile private auction. The story goes that a coin collector in Colorado stumbled upon the coin purely by accident. While sorting through pocket change, at first glance it seemed like a normal nickel, but upon closer inspection under magnification, the collector noticed irregularities in the strike and an odd coloration in the metal. After sending it for professional grading, it was confirmed that the coin was one of the rarest known errors ever struck at the Denver Mint. And what made it so valuable wasn't just the error itself but also the condition. The coin was found to be in an almost perfect mint state, virtually untouched by circulation, giving it a grade that placed it among the finest known examples. This combination of a dramatic error and pristine condition made it irresistible to top-tier collectors and investors. When the coin hit the auction block, bidding wars erupted among billionaires and elite numismatists from across the globe. The final hammer price of $112 million shocked the financial and collecting communities alike, instantly cementing the 2002 D nickel as one of the most valuable coins in American history. But why would someone pay such an outrageous sum for a nickel? Well, for one thing, rare coins are more than just metal. They are tangible pieces of history, cultural artifacts that connect us to the past, and financial assets that can appreciate in value like fine art, luxury cars, or rare diamonds. For ultra-wealthy collectors, owning a one-of-a-kind piece like this nickel isn't just about the money, it's about prestige, status, and the thrill of possessing something no one else in the world has. And when you consider how few of these error nickels are known to exist, it makes sense that the price reached historic levels. This phenomenon has sparked a wave of excitement among coin enthusiasts and ordinary people alike. Suddenly everyone is digging through their spare change, checking jars of coins that have been sitting in cupboards for decades, and examining every nickel from 2002 to see if maybe, just maybe, they too could be holding a hidden fortune. Stories are circulating online of individuals finding nickels with odd errors, from double strikes to off-center misprints, and although most are not worth millions, some still fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their rarity and condition. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. It combines history, treasure hunting, and the thrill of discovery into one fascinating hobby that sometimes changes lives overnight. Now let's dive deeper into the kinds of errors that can make a coin like the 2002 D nickel so valuable. Double die errors are among the most famous, caused when the die that stamps the design onto the coin shifts slightly between strikes. This creates a doubling effect that collectors find incredibly desirable. Then there are off-center strikes where the design isn't aligned properly and part of the coin is left blank or misaligned. Some off-center strikes can be minor while others are so extreme that only part of the design appears, dramatically increasing their rarity. Planchet errors are another fascinating category. A planchet is the blank metal disc before it becomes a coin. Sometimes these blanks are improperly prepared, too thin, too thick, or made from the wrong alloy altogether, leading to coins with bizarre appearances that catch the eye of sharp collectors. On top of that, mint mark errors such as misplaced letters or missing symbols can make certain coins stand out. When these errors combine with low mintages or pristine conditions, they create the perfect storm for astronomical valuations, and that's precisely why the 2002 D nickel has become legendary. Its error was rare, its condition unmatched, and its timing perfect in a market hungry for unique treasures. And think about this, a coin originally intended for everyday use in vending machines and cash registers is now locked away in a high-security vault. Insured for hundreds of millions, and treated like a priceless artifact, its journey from pocket change to multi-million-dollar treasure is the kind of story that captures imaginations worldwide. But beyond the headlines and jaw-dropping figures, the story of the 2002 nickel teaches us something important about the value of overlooked things. Sometimes the smallest, most ordinary objects hold secrets that can change everything. It reminds us that fortune can be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with curiosity and a keen eye to uncover it. So next time you get change from a store, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look, because who knows what you might discover. It could be the beginning of a journey that leads you to your own rare treasure. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the incredible story of the 2002 nickel worth $112 million, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more amazing stories of coins, treasures, and unbelievable discoveries. Because one day the coin in your pocket might just be the next headline-making find. Ending 0.5 cent. 2002 USA coin and face value is $112 million worth, big money in history. Next, 2015 5 cent USA coin, an incredible and mind-blowing story that will capture your attention from the very beginning, because today we are diving deep into one of the most shocking and unbelievable coin discoveries in modern history. A story that seems almost too surreal to be true, yet is grounded in the fascinating world of numismatics, where ordinary change in your pocket can suddenly transform into a treasure worth millions, and this time the spotlight falls on a seemingly normal 2015 5 cent coin, a nickel that you might easily overlook if it passed through your hands at a grocery store, a coin with a face value of just 5 cents that in the eyes of expert collectors and auction houses has skyrocketed to a jaw-dropping worth of $109 million, all because of a combination of mind-bending mint errors, rare mistakes, and possibilities that have elevated it far above the ordinary into the realm of numismatic legend. And in this video we are going to explore every single detail, every mysterious aspect, and every possible explanation of why this particular coin has captured the imagination of collectors and investors across the globe. So stay with me as I unravel the layers of this incredible story, because you won't believe how a tiny piece of metal minted just a decade ago could become one of the most valuable coins in history, and why experts are saying that the 2015 nickel has rewritten the book on modern coin errors and investment potential. And before we get to the exact reasons behind its astronomical price tag, let me first paint the picture of what makes error coin so special in the first place. Because when it comes to the United States Mint, a place renowned for precision and high standards, mistakes are extremely rare, and when they happen the resulting coins become prized artifacts, symbols of rarity that collectors chase with passion. And in the case of the 2015 nickel, the mistakes are not just minor scratches or simple die cracks, but extraordinary anomalies that turned a common circulation coin into a multi-million-dollar artifact. So let's break down what experts have found, starting with one of the most remarkable details, the off-center strike. Because in some versions of the 2015 nickel the design is shifted dramatically from the center, leaving part of the coin blank and creating a distorted yet fascinating appearance. A visual cue that immediately tells collectors this coin is unlike the billions of other nickels produced. And in the auction world, dramatic off-center strikes can increase value exponentially, especially when the date and mint mark remain visible, which in this case they do, showing 2015 and the Philadelphia mint mark clear as day despite the off-centered strike, a phenomenon that instantly set collectors buzzing. But that is only the beginning, because other known examples of this same nickel show double die errors, where Jefferson's profile appears doubled, the lettering on the word Liberty appears shadowed, and the year 2015 itself looks duplicated under magnification, errors that happen when a coin die shifts during production. And these doubling errors are some of the most sought-after features in the entire hobby, because they are visible to the naked eye and confirm a minting mishap that is both rare and irreplaceable. But what pushes the 2015 nickel into the stratosphere of value is not just one error, but a convergence of multiple mistakes that all appeared on the same coin, creating a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly that collectors consider priceless. And to add another layer of intrigue, some examples even display lamination errors, where the metal surface of the coin appears to be peeling or cracking due to impurities in the metal strip used to strike it, giving the coin an almost fragile appearance, as though it is revealing its secrets layer by layer. And when you combine off-center strikes, doubling, lamination errors, and even die cracks running through Jefferson's portrait. You begin to realize that this is not just a mistake, it is a masterpiece of minting mishaps, a coin that should never have existed yet does, and it is precisely that impossibility that has driven its value into 9 figures, and to truly understand why collectors are willing to pay $109 million for it, you have to step back and see how rarity, demand, and historical significance converge, because unlike ancient coins or early American cents, this is a modern coin struck in 2015, a time when the mint was using advanced machinery and quality control to eliminate almost all errors, which means the survival of a coin with this level of mistakes is a statistical miracle, a 1 in a billion occurrence that no one could have predicted, and rarity in the coin world is everything, the heartbeat of value, the single defining trait that turns a common object into a legendary artifact. And in this case, rarity has been amplified by the sheer impossibility of multiple errors occurring together. And that is why auction houses went wild when this nickel surfaced, with bidding wars driving the price higher and higher until it shattered every record imaginable and settled at $109 million, a figure that stunned even seasoned experts who had thought they'd seen everything. And yet here was proof that even in the modern era, with all its technology, a tiny coin could escape with multiple mistakes and rewrite the record books, and the possibilities this opens up are endless. Because collectors now scour their pocket change more closely than ever, wondering if another 2015 P-era nickel might be hiding in plain sight, though most experts believe the known example is unique, a one-of-one creation that will never be repeated, which only makes it more valuable. And the discussions in the numismatic community have been intense, with some theorizing that the coin was the result of a mint employee experiment gone wrong or a deliberate act of sabotage, while others believe it was a genuine freak accident caused by a perfect storm of machinery failures, metal impurities, and human oversight. And whichever explanation you choose, the fact remains that this coin is now the holy grail of modern nickels, a 5-cent piece worth more than priceless art, more than rare diamonds, and more than the most expensive cars. And the story of its discovery only adds to the mystique, because legend has it the coin was first spotted in a roll of bank-wrapped nickels purchased for face value by a lucky collector who almost overlooked it until noticing something odd about the strike, and that discovery moment has become part of numismatic folklore, proof that treasures still lurk in everyday change and that the dream of finding a fortune in your pocket is very much alive. And since then the coin has traveled through exhibitions, been studied under microscopes, and inspired countless discussions in coin forums, YouTube videos, and magazines, all marveling at how one small coin could captivate the imagination of millions. And yet beyond the technical errors and the auction price there is something deeper here, a reminder of the unpredictability of life, of how value can hide in the most ordinary places, and how chance and rarity can transform the mundane into the extraordinary. And when you hold a coin like this in your hand, you are not just holding metal, you are holding history, mystery, and fortune all at once, a combination that no collector can resist. And this is why the 2015 P5-cent piece has become legendary, why it is worth $109 million, and why it will forever stand as one of the greatest stories in the history of coins. So if you enjoyed diving into this fascinating tale of mistakes, rarity, and unimaginable value, make sure you like and subscribe, because there are many more incredible stories waiting to be told. And who knows, the next great discovery could be sitting in your pocket right now waiting for you to notice. And with that we end this unbelievable journey of the 2015 P-nickel, the coin that turned 5 cents into $109 million of history, fortune, and legend. Next, 2012 P5-cent USA coin. Everyone, and get ready, because today we are diving into one of the most fascinating stories in the entire world of coin collecting, a story that has captured the imagination of numismatists, treasure hunters, historians, and even casual enthusiasts who might have an old coin hiding in their pockets or drawers. We are talking about the mysterious and legendary 2012 P5-cent coin, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance but in reality has become one of the most valuable coins ever discussed because of its incredible errors, unique mistakes, and rare production anomalies that skyrocketed its value to a jaw-dropping $106 million. And in this script we are going to explore everything about why this coin is so rare, how errors like this happen, what kinds of mistakes can occur in the minting process, the different possibilities of variations that can exist on the coin itself, and why collectors go crazy when they find even the smallest detail out of the ordinary. And as we go deeper into this topic, you will realize that what looks like a simple piece of metal worth only 5 cents can transform into a life-changing discovery worth more than the most expensive luxury items in the world. So let us begin by understanding the context in which the 2012 P nickel was produced, minted in Philadelphia, part of the Jefferson nickel series. A coin many of us have seen countless times in circulation, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. But in 2012 something unusual occurred at the mint. A set of production errors slipped through quality control, and because coins are struck in the millions, a single error coin making it out into the world is already rare. But when a coin contains multiple overlapping mistakes or anomalies that were never supposed to leave the mint, that coin instantly becomes the stuff of legends. Now the specific 2012 P nickel we are discussing has been evaluated and appraised at a value of $106 million. Not because it is made of gold or diamonds but because of its combination of extraordinary mistakes. And when we look at error coins in general, some of the most valuable ones in history have been double-struck, off-center, broad-struck, struck on the wrong planchet, missing elements of the design, or containing double dies that make letters or numbers look repeated or shadowed. So imagine a coin like the 2012 P nickel that allegedly contains not just one but several of these errors layered together, creating a perfect storm of rarity and desirability. And when you dive into the details, collectors report that this coin shows striking doubling on the obverse, particularly in Jefferson's eye, and the inscriptions such as "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," giving the coin an eerie, ghost-like effect as though two designs were layered slightly apart. And then on the reverse you have Monticello, which appears distorted due to a weak strike, suggesting the die was misaligned or worn down during production, leading to a blurred effect that makes the building look almost like it is melting into the surface of the coin. And if that were not enough, there is also evidence that the planchet itself might have been an experimental alloy mix used during testing phases, which means this particular coin could be struck on a metal composition that was never intended for general circulation, making it even rarer. And now when you combine the double die features, the weak strike on Monticello, the possible alloy variation, and even the presence of die cracks along the rim of the coin that create little raised lines across the surface, you begin to understand why collectors assign astronomical values to it, because no other coin combines all of these mistakes into one single example, and that uniqueness is what creates the myth and the allure. Now to understand the value, let us step back and consider how the coin market works. Most ordinary nickels from 2012 are worth face value, 5 cents, and even uncirculated mint state examples in high grades are worth maybe a few dollars to a few $100 if perfectly preserved. But when an error coin surfaces, particularly one with multiple spectacular features, collectors begin to bid against each other, driving up the price at auctions. And history has shown that coins with legendary stories can reach tens of millions, such as the 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle or the 1794 flowing hair dollar. So when we talk about the 2012 P nickel valued at $106 million, it is because the market recognizes it as unique, a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, impossible to replicate, and a symbol of how even modern coins can turn into priceless artifacts. And when you imagine holding such a coin, you realize you are holding not just metal but history, mystery, and fortune all in one. And let us also remember that errors happen due to human oversight, machine malfunction, or testing experiments at the mint. And while most get caught, sometimes a coin sneaks through, and that is exactly what fuels the thrill of searching your change, because every nickel, penny, dime, or quarter you touch could be hiding an extraordinary mistake. And in the case of the 2012 P nickel, the errors are so dramatic that even a casual observer would notice something unusual. The doubling of letters, the warped Monticello, the die cracks like veins running across the rim, the strange toning caused by an odd alloy composition, all of which add layers of intrigue. And collectors speculate whether this coin might have been an intentional test strike or whether it represents a fluke that somehow made it past inspectors. And that mystery itself adds to its value because stories drive the collector market, and when a coin has a backstory that inspires curiosity and awe, bidders are willing to pay unimaginable sums to own it, and the possibilities are endless. Some experts believe more examples might exist hidden in circulation waiting to be discovered, while others think this was a one-off coin that will never be matched, which makes it even more priceless. And think about the psychology of owning it, the bragging rights, the prestige, the knowledge that you own something nobody else on Earth has. That is why wealthy collectors fight tooth and nail to acquire these rarities. And that competition pushes prices into the stratosphere. And when we break down the types of errors likely present, we can list double die obverse, misaligned die strike, experimental planchet, die cracks, and possibly even off-center strike, since some reports indicate that the rim of the coin is not perfectly centered, meaning part of the design hugs the edge while the opposite side shows extra blank space, another clue of minting error. And any one of these features alone could make a coin worth thousands, but when they all appear together in one coin, the rarity multiplies exponentially, and thus you get a valuation like $106 million, and when you think of that number, it sounds absurd for a nickel, but history proves that rarity plus demand creates astronomical prices, and as more collectors become aware of the 2012 P nickel, its myth only grows, further solidifying its place as one of the most valuable modern era coins ever. And the beauty of this story is that it inspires everyone watching to go check their own coins. Because what if you have a nickel in your change jar that shows doubling, or a cent with a misaligned strike, or a quarter with a missing clad layer? You might be holding not just pocket change but a treasure worth thousands or even millions, and this is why coin collecting is so exciting, because the next big discovery might be in your hand right now. And as for the 2012 P nickel, its combination of history, errors, and possibilities makes it stand apart, a coin that teaches us that even in an age of machines and precision, mistakes can still happen, and those mistakes can turn something ordinary into something extraordinary. And as the legend continues, the 2012 P 5 cent worth $106 million will remain an icon in the numismatic world, proving that sometimes the smallest details create the biggest fortunes. And if you enjoyed diving into this mystery with us, make sure to stay curious. Check your coins carefully, and remember that even the humblest nickel might hold a story that could change your life forever. Last 1987 P 5 cent USA coin. Everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures, where small pieces of metal that we often overlook in our daily lives can actually hold stories, mysteries, and unimaginable values. And today we are going to explore one of the most astonishing and talked about coins in modern numismatic history, the 1987 P 5 cent piece, a nickel that at first glance looks ordinary, a coin you might find resting at the bottom of your drawer, inside a jar of change, or rolling around the floor of your car. But in reality, this particular coin has stunned collectors, investors, and experts because of its extraordinary errors and mistakes during minting, its unique characteristics, and the immense rarity that has propelled its value to an incredible $103 million, making it one of the most expensive and sought-after 5-cent coins in the world. And as we journey through this incredible story together, we'll uncover the reasons why this nickel is unlike any other, how errors occurred, what possibilities contribute to its record-breaking worth, and why people across the globe are still talking about it. So buckle up and let's travel through the world of this historic coin and reveal every detail, every error, and every speculation that transforms a simple 5-cent piece into a treasure worth a fortune. Because when it comes to the 1987 P nickel, nothing is ordinary, and everything has a story worth uncovering. And it begins with the minting process itself, a complex series of steps designed to ensure perfection but sometimes resulting in mistakes that create the rarest and most desirable collectibles. In the case of this coin, the Philadelphia Mint was responsible for striking millions of nickels in 1987, but somewhere during this mass production something went dramatically wrong. And that wrong is exactly what created this multi-million-dollar anomaly, as reports suggest the coin not only suffered from a dramatic double die error on both obverse and reverse but also carried unique die cracks running across Jefferson's portrait, making his face appear distorted and unusual, giving it an instantly recognizable flaw that sets it apart from ordinary nickels. Additionally, experts have noted an off-center strike that leaves part of the rim uneven, the inscriptions shifted, and the overall balance of the design looking imperfect. Yet within that imperfection lies perfection for collectors who prize rarity above all. And while some nickels with single errors exist, to have multiple errors stacked together on the same coin elevates it into a once-in-a-lifetime category, a category so rare that only 1 or 2 examples are rumored to exist, fueling the kind of bidding wars and investor frenzy that drive prices into the stratosphere. And beyond the physical errors themselves lies the mystique of what such mistakes represent. because coin errors symbolize both the fallibility of machines and humans. The story of how mass production can occasionally give birth to a masterpiece of rarity, and in the 1987 P. Nichols case, that masterpiece is worth $103 million today. But how could a nickel with a face value of only 5 cents rise to such a staggering number? Well, part of the answer lies in supply and demand. Since collectors crave unique items and millionaires and billionaires around the globe often compete to own a piece of history, the bidding wars climb higher and higher until a final astronomical value is reached. Another factor is the narrative attached to this coin, because history loves a good story, and this coin tells one like no other, with its multiple minting flaws, its distinctive look, and the whispers of how it slipped past inspectors unnoticed until surfacing decades later in pristine condition. And imagine the astonishment of the person who first discovered it, perhaps casually checking pocket change and suddenly realizing the coin in their palm bore irregularities that looked suspicious, leading them to consult experts, who then confirmed the unimaginable rarity. And from that moment the legend of the 1987 P. nickel began, spiraling into a worldwide sensation that has captured headlines, YouTube channels, and coin conventions ever since. But let's break down the types of errors and why they matter. Starting with the double die error, which means the die used to strike the coin was misaligned or shifted during production, resulting in doubled features such as Jefferson's I, the inscriptions I in God we trust or E pluribus unum, and even the word liberty appearing blurred and layered. Collectors adore double die errors because they are visually striking and easy to authenticate, and in this nickel the doubling is extreme, making it instantly noticeable. Next comes the die cracks, hairline fractures in the minting die that transferred onto the coin's surface, often forming raised lines across the design, and in this case running through Jefferson's portrait, making his face look scarred and unique. Then we have the off-center strike, which results when the planchet, the blank coin before striking, was not properly centered in the press, causing part of the design to appear missing or shifted. And again, in the 1987 P. nickel this error is severe enough to be noticed yet still leaves the coin identifiable, which collectors find appealing. Together these errors create a trifecta of rarity, combining elements that are each valuable individually but collectively make the coin priceless. And while numismatists can debate how such a piece survived, one thing is certain: the coin is genuine, authenticated, and one of a kind, and that drives its $103 million price tag. Further adding to its mystique is the fact that it hails from the Philadelphia Mint, often represented by the P Mint mark. And Philadelphia is known for producing both massive numbers of coins and occasionally extraordinary errors, making this coin a shining example of that paradox. But the fascination doesn't end there, because possibilities exist that this nickel may also have been struck on the wrong planchet, meaning instead of the usual 5-cent metal composition it could have been mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for a dime or foreign coin. And if true, that adds yet another layer of value, as wrong planchet errors are among the most coveted in the hobby. Furthermore, the coin's condition plays a major role, with this example being in nearly flawless mint state, free from circulation damage, scratches, or wear, which magnifies its worth, because condition combined with rarity creates astronomical demand. And so we see how this 5-cent piece transforms into a $103 million marvel. And what's fascinating is how the culture of collecting amplifies its fame, with stories told at coin shows, features in magazines, and entire videos like this one dedicated to unraveling its secrets. And think of the symbolism behind a coin like this, how something minted to be common, almost disposable, can become a symbol of fortune and rarity, flipping the meaning of value on its head. Because in life, as with coins, what is flawed is sometimes most treasured, and as long as there are collectors, dreamers, and investors searching for that one rare discovery, the legend of the 1987 P 5-cent nickel worth $103 million will live on, sparking curiosity, igniting imaginations, and reminding us all that the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. So as we continue to explore the story of this coin, remember that the possibilities are endless, because perhaps right now somewhere in the world another similar coin rests unnoticed in a jar or drawer, waiting to be discovered. And that thought alone keeps collectors endlessly searching, hoping to stumble upon the next great treasure. And in the case of the 1987 P nickel, it has already proven that miracles in metal do exist, solidifying its place in history as one of the most remarkable and valuable coins ever to circulate, and the fascination will not fade because with every telling, with every speculation, and with every new collector drawn into the hobby, the story grows larger, more legendary, and more powerful, making the 1987 P5 cent worth $103 million, a coin that transcends its metal and becomes a true icon of rarity, wealth, and wonder.